Yeah. Today we'll see introduction of SQL Server. Yes. Open. Yes. Now, this is what the introduction part of SQL Server is. Let me explain all the points. First point is about a kind of introduction of the software, where I said it is a product of Microsoft introduced in the year 1989 as SQL Server 1.0. When? 1989. First version 1.0. And another interesting thing is we always use SQL Server as backend. SQL Server we use as what? Backend. Right? And third rule we have it supports to communicate with database. Okay? And server both. Database and server both I'm saying in two ways. It supports to communicate with database as well as server in how many ways? Two ways. One is called wizard based, second is called script based. How do you describe them? How do you describe them? GUI, graphical user interface. CUI, character user interface. One is user friendly. Wizard based is user friendly. One is command based. One is user friendly, one is command based. And it is RDBMS. SQL Server was RDBMS till this version. SQL Server 2000, it was RDBMS. From 2005 and whatever the later releases we had, they all have become what? ORDBMS. That is called Object Relational Database Management System. And again, I covered one more thing. What it is, SQL Server is client server technology. Now you have to understand the bottom architectures, all three architectures. Listen carefully here. You know, this is the story we find. What standalone I'm talking about. Till SQL Server 2016. Till SQL Server 2016. This is the comparative point. Comparative point. Okay, now here, standalone system, I'm talking about a single machine, single laptop, right? And what did you notice? In one system, you have Windows OS. In another system, assume you have Linux OS. In one OS, what do you have? Windows. In another, what do we have? Linux. Right? One is containing Windows OS, one is containing Linux OS. And where you can install SQL Server? Yes, you can install SQL Server on Windows, but not on Linux operating system. We cannot install. Highly impossible. Version, you have to remember 2016, I'm saying. 2016. From SQL Server 2017, Microsoft made it available even for Linux operating system. Any Windows OS and any Linux OS. Yes, now you can install SQL Server even 2017. Whatever next releases, 19, Comparative, you see, very clearly I have drawn here. Say this is my laptop. This is my laptop. I have Windows OS. I can install SQL Server 16 on that. If you have your laptop containing Linux OS, any flavor, any flavor, any flavor. Any flavor. What do you find? Yes. Then we have a concept. What? If it is Linux OS related to any flavor, you cannot install SQL Server software on that machine. We cannot. If you have SQL Server 17, if you have 17, or you have SQL Server 19 with you, and you have Linux OS, can we install? Yes. Picture will explain you. And one more thing I'll say, network environment, if it is. And in a single system, in a single system, when you install SQL Server, that is what you call local server. That is called local server. That machine itself is a client. That machine itself is a server. It is client and server both. That single machine itself is client. That single machine itself is server. It is both now, client and server both. But if you're talking about a real-time environment, real-time environment, and if you're talking about right. And in network environment, you see, in network environment, client and server, compulsory, your server should contain Windows Server OS. Our Windows OS will not apply there. Windows Server. Windows. Which server? Windows 2000 server, Windows 2003 server, Windows 2008 server. But you should have Windows Server OS. Windows, I'm talking about till 2016. Till 2016. And you can see purely SQL Server is installed on Windows Server OS. And what about clients? Yeah, clients have no rules, no restrictions. Clients can be on any platform. One client is in Windows 7. One client is in Windows 8. One client is in Windows 10. One client is in Linux. You understand? Now, you can find multiple, you can find clients. You can find one is on 7, one is on 8, one is on Linux also. Yes. One client is on even Linux also. Yes. Client can be on any platform. No, even in you're working with 2016. SQL Server you cannot install on Linux, but client you can install. Yes, client. Because client will have only a tool. Na? That client will not have SQL Server software, only tool. Through the tool, he'll communicate with the server. From server, he'll go to SQL Server. Now, network environment. You see, if you are working with 2017, if you're working with the 2017, now you see the story on this. 2017. You can have server that can be either Windows server or it can be your Linux server. Both servers are fine. You can install SQL Server on it. And tools, clients can be on any platform as well. Clients can also be on any platform. Server can also be on any platform. Clients can also be on any platform. Yes. Yeah. You have any questions to ask me on this? Go ahead, please. Kiran as well as Bharat, both. Any queries that you have? Go ahead. Any question, any question. Comparatively, I made all of them in different pictures.
No good.
Kiran, is it fine for you? Do you understand all the points?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, fine, Kiran. Bharat, what about you? You're not audible, Bharat. Bharat, can you hear me, Bharat? You at least confirm it through chat panel. You're not audible to me.
I have no doubt, sir.
Achha, okay, chalo, right. Good. Okay, Bharat. Right. And then I mentioned seventh point. What SQL server, remember, it consists of 4 servers. Make clear on this point, please. How many? 4 servers will be there. From that 4 servers, remember, for developer, only one server is used. That is database server. That's it. The other servers are not meant for us. The other servers, we don't work on it. That is not provided for us. Those are provided for BI developers, people who work on business intelligence. For them, those servers are provided. What do you call them? Integration server, reporting server, analysis server. Those are for BI developers, not for us. Not for us. We work with whom then? We work only with one server. What do you call that? Database server. The server on which we work, what do you call that server? Database server. Okay. And even installation also, when I show you installation, you experience this point as well. What? Not necessary to have all servers during installation. You need only database server. You install only database server. Remaining servers you can ignore. They are not needed for you. They are not requirement of you. Just ignore them. Don't install them. That is the reason when SQL Server software you install, you find all checkboxes available. Checkboxes. Required server install, not required server skip off. Ignore, leave it. And then I mentioned one more point. Till SQL Server 2016 release, it can be installed only on Windows OS. Only on Windows OS. Yes. This is the introduction part of SQL Server. Next part I'll show you. That is about topics of SQL Server. Fourth point. Yes, topics of SQL Server. You can see SQL Server comes with 3 modules. SQL, T-SQL, BI. BI is not in our course content. That is separate course I take up. Separate course. That includes SSIS, SSRS, SSAS, SQL Server integration services, reporting services, analysis services. And our syllabus will be of SQL, T-SQL. Only 2 are there. SQL and T-SQL. SQL is structured query language. And T-SQL, it's called Transact SQL that deals with programming. And our course content of SQL Server will be covering SQL and T-SQL. Both these 2 courses will be a part of our course content. SQL, T-SQL. This is nowhere connected. This only for classification I gave you. Just to highlight things I gave you. We don't study on this. We don't need them. And in our course, especially for SQL, 2 divisions I made. For SQL, 2 divisions. Sublanguages, SQL objects. 2 topics. Sublanguages mein I made a list here. Can you see? DQL, DML, TCL, DDL. I didn't describe them. I'm not going to describe this. I gave you the list. I said, in my coming classes, I'm going to come up with introduction to SQL language. In that, I'll give you detailed explanation. What are the commands that will be discussed under each category of sublanguage? I will get back to you on that. Detailed explanation. SQL introduction. I'll cover everything. I'll cover. And once these sublanguages are over, then I'll jump to SQL objects. SQL objects mean these all are available. Tables, constraints, views, synonyms, sequences, indices. These are called SQL objects. SQL objects. And once these two parts are over, then we will jump to coding, programming, that you call as T-SQL. That's called Transact SQL. And in that, Microsoft has made available with 3 types of coding process. 3 types. One type of coding process is called anonymous block programming. Second, they call as stored block programming. Third is called CLR integration. Anonymous block programming, stored block programming, CLR integration. CLR integration, actually, we cannot learn because that is provided for .NET developers. If you have knowledge of .NET, then you can understand CLR integration. Anonymous blocks, that is called unnamed blocks. Stored blocks is called named blocks. CLR integration is for .NET developers. CLR, Common Language Runtime, we call. Common Language Runtime. CLR integration. That is related with .NET programming. .NET related it is. Here, anonymous block, what you learn? Basic programming we learn. Exception handling we learn. Cursors, 3 topics, 3 modules. Under stored blocks, we learn stored procedures, stored functions, stored triggers, 3 topics. Under stored blocks. That is how the things are expanded to a topic of what? SQL Server. Our course content of SQL and what is SQL. Tables, I said, na? SQL objects में table. Tables are of 5 types. We are going to learn them. 5 types of tables are there. What do you call them? Yeah, one they call system tables, user-defined tables, temporary tables, right? Table variables, magic tables. So obviously, when I start tables topic, that will be a lengthy topic to learn. Only topic heading I wrote doesn't mean like SQL Server. Just because I hardly wrote around 10 to 20 headings doesn't mean like your SQL Server will be completed in, like 1 day, 2 days. It's very lengthy. That is the reason we plan to give this course for 40 working days. 40 working days. Yeah, but parallelly, you require even from your end a regular practice is needed. Then, things very smoothly you can handle. Things very smoothly you can, manage. All logical queries, interview-based queries. Once we are into practical, I'll be giving you for your assignment. You try to figure out solutions of those queries. You try to work on those queries. Okay, now that is about topics of SQL Server. Next, we'll study types of servers. I just now said, na, Microsoft has introduced SQL Server describing into 4 servers. I said you, just now I said you. What servers? Database server, integration server, reporting server, analysis server. I repeat, we don't need these servers. We don't need. We need only one server. Only one server we need. Only one server. And that is database server we need. Nothing else. This is the only one we need for a developer. Who needs this then? These all are required by BI developers, business intelligence developers, BI developers, people who work with SSIS, SSRS, SSAS. Do you understand? You work with what then? Only one I said, na? Database server. What it deals with? It works with databases. What else it deals? It works with SQL commands. That's it. It works with databases. It works with SQL command. Database server. Is it the only you require? Yeah, there's only one I require for practice. What about other servers? Don't install them. Why unnecessary you want to go when you're not in touch with them? We are not going to use them. When you're sure that we don't use them, when you're sure that we don't come across with anything related to them, why do you install? You ignore. No problem. Practice purpose, just you want to have complete software, then just go with it. Select all, go with installation. Nothing will happen. They'll be there, but you don't use them. They will be there, but you don't use them. Which one will be used? Database server alone will be using. And database server is not the only requirement of developer. Database server is also a requirement of DBA. Database administrator also works only with database server. Database administrator also works with what? Database server only. Okay. So integration server that I said, na, ETL process, export import activities, shared server. These all things, nothing to worry. We don't need them. But still, installation may I'll cover them. Installation. Whenever I show you installation of SQL server, on that day I'll cover. Reporting server, reporting, presentation of data in a look and feel manner, so that it should look beautiful. The data presentation should look beautiful. People should understand easily. That is one type of interface it provides to present data or information. Analysis server to implement data warehouse. Analysis server to implement what? Data warehouse. You understand? All these are servers. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Next part will be related to this. Next part. Difference between release and version. After that, we'll have more 2 to 3 sessions we'll have to cover all these theoretical points. After that, we are into full-fledged practicals. Okay. So